Oh, speaking of evolutions, there was one funny thing that happened during the first few days of leaks. It was sort of easy to miss, but I still found it pretty entertaining nonetheless. At one point, people were filling out the Coastal Kalos decks, and at one point we found out where Eevee and the evolutions were. And it turns out that there was an empty slot between Sylveon and, what was it already? Oh, right, it was Yanma. So there was an empty slot between where Sylveon went and Yanma, so a lot of people are like, oh my god, there's gonna be a new evolution! This is so awesome! And then, a few hours after that, we found out what was in that empty slot. And it was Emolga, a Pokemon that was already very well known for trolling people and just appearing when you really don't want it to. Yeah, I don't think this was intentional on Game Freak's part, but still, that's how it turned out. The Trollmeister returned for one last victory lap, so I found that pretty funny. Now, on to the big mechanic that Game Freak has been selling to us for the last 2 months, Mega Evolutions. As it turns out, unless there are any further developments, we are getting 28 Mega Evolutions across 26 different species. Charizard and Mewtwo both get 2, of course. There is already one major complaint with Mega Evolutions, and it's the fact that too many overused capable Pokemon got Mega Evolutions. And, well, of course, they could have gone the pure game balance way and only gave Mega Evolutions for the really crap Pokemon, but there are 2 reasons why I think what I did was... well, it was the right idea. The execution may not have been perfect. I mean, Shadow Tag Mega Gengar? Really? As if it needed even more of a boost. I mean, Ghost Poison is already a much better typing than it was last gen because it's not walled by Steel anymore, and Poison is super effective on Fairy to boot. But, seriously, that was uncalled for. But, hear me out. Because I think what they did, well, as I said, the execution could have been done better, but the idea of giving overused Pokemon Mega Evolutions may not have been a terrible idea. First, marketing issues. If they just went and gave Mega Evolutions to all the crap Pokemon that no one cares about, then it would have been a lot harder to sell this new feature to people that, you know, aren't already huge fans like you and me and would have absolutely embraced a Mega Evolution to something like a Love Disc or Girafarig or other Pokemon that are completely forgettable. But yeah, that's one reason why they did that, is marketing. And the other reason is metagame related, and it's the fact that if they gave only, like, I kind of lost count, but there are several Mega Evolutions that look capable of holding their own in Overused, and if there were only 1 or 2 of them, then since you can only use 1 Mega Evolution on a team, then this means that if there were only 2 Pokemon that have Mega Evolutions that would vie for supremacy in Overused, then you can bet your ass that both of these Mega Evolutions would have had something around 50% on the usage list, whereas right now the highest ones are around 20%. So it gives a little bit more variety in what you can use in Overused in terms of Mega Evolutions. Of course, there's still the problem of some being much better than others. You got stuff like Mega Medicham and Mega Mawile that looks like it could be interesting to use in Overused, but you can only use 1 Mega Evolution on your team, and as a result, well, of course you're going to tend to gravitate towards the ones that were already good but have been made even better, such as, for example, Blaziken, Gengar, Lucario. So, as a result, prior to any bans taking place, at least, it's still easy to see these three pretty much topping the usage list because their Mega Evolutions are just so good. So that's what I meant by the execution being a bit lacking. But otherwise, I can sort of understand why they chose to do the things they did, and next generation, when Mega Evolutions aren't new anymore and there won't be a need to market them as much, I can totally see them going the pure game balance route and only giving them to Pokemon that really need them. Of course, there's also the underlying problem of there only being 28 of them. What this means is that in each tier, there is only going to be a couple that are going to be viable. If not at all usable, because I can't see Mega Evolutions being a huge thing in Never Use. Of course, there are some that were pretty disappointing, but nonetheless, the selection in Never Use is going to be probably pretty pathetic, all things considered. So you're going to see those same 2 or 3 Pokemon that can Mega Evolve over and over and over. So yeah, the fact that there are only 28 so far might present a problem, but this is just speculation, by the way. I don't want to commit myself to saying, oh, this specific Mega Stone is going to be banned to Ubers, or this specific Pokemon that can Mega Evolve is going to be in a certain tier. I'm just pointing out the strengths and drawbacks of Game Freak's approach. And those that are calling for a blanket ban on the Mega Evolution in all tiers, well, I think they're getting a bit ahead of themselves. How about we first take a good look and see how it all pans out before rushing along and taking decisions that might not be accurate just because they were taken based on Theoremon, which, for all intents and purposes, doesn't happen anymore. And, by the way, something that I would like to say, because there have been worries about this in the past, the Pokemon Amiibo boosts to evasion and critical rate and status healing, these are exclusive to in-game. They do not affect battles against other players. So not only do you not need to go through that piece of shit mechanic just to strengthen your Pokemon to make it ready for battles against human players, but the game's sort of integrity, so to speak, is preserved. You're not going to have random evasion, random criticals. By the way, criticals were nerfed this generation. They only do 1.5 times regular damage instead of twice the regular damage. I assume this is because they wanted critical to still be there, but not be as deciding of a factor in determining the winner of a particular match. Which I think everyone hated winning because of criticals, and everyone hated losing because of criticals, so it's basically win-win. I think everyone's going to be much happier with the less powerful criticals being thrown around. Oh, and another huge change that took place is the fact that many special moves were nerfed this generation. Moves like a Fire Blast, Hydro Pump, Thunder, Hurricane have been nerfed to 110 power, except for Fail Blast, oddly enough. They kept Fail Blast at 120 for whatever reason. And moves like Surf, Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, and company have been nerfed to 90. There's still no word on Scald, Lava Plume, and Discharge, though, meaning that they might well stay at 80 power, and tell you what, these might even become the moves of choice on just about everything that gets them because of that, because of the fact that they were not nerfed. Scald was already great for defensive Pokemon, but especially since Surf doesn't inflict status compared to Thunderbolt and Flamethrower, which can, but now it's just going to be the best avenue for whatever gets it seems. Of course, I may be jumping the gun by saying that, but the fact is that if they are not nerfed, they will definitely become a heck of a lot more popular. This seems to go with Game Freak's objective of making the metagame a bit less offense-based. So, yeah, I can sort of get behind that, even though, the whole Mega Evolution thing sort of throws a wrench into things. But when you stop and look at it a certain way, it sort of makes sense, too, because most Mega Evolutions will actually hit less hard than their non-Mega Evolved counterparts, because these could use items like the Life Orb, the Choice items, and stuff like that. So as a result, these Pokemon will hit maybe a bit less hard, but the big difference is that they're going to be faster and bulkier. That is there's going to be no more Life Orb recoil, for one thing. So this could prove to it's hard to predict exactly how it will influence the metagame compared to when Mega Evolutions didn't exist, but yeah, this is one way of looking at it. I think, at least, that the big difference will be in terms of bulk and speed. But I'm just going on, and you've probably lost me in my train of thought a long time ago. It makes sense in my head, damn it! But I was talking about the special nerf. It's sort of a shame that it only happened on the special side, even though, those attacks that got nerfed were among the best of the game for having no drawbacks, at least. But personally, I would have liked to see something similar happen on the physical side, because all those hugely powerful physical moves that have drawbacks, such as close combat, superpower, the recoil moves, I think they could have been nerfed as well, and it wouldn't have hurt at all. So, but, this is just my opinion, this is just my reading on things. I'm sure Game Freak had their reasons for not changing these attacks, but what is for sure is that these nerfs are going to definitely affect the metagame in a huge way, so it's going to be interesting to see where it goes from there. And I know I'm saying that a lot, but that's because, well, it's true. Anyway, next item on the list, the Pokebeach Leaker said that dual-typed moves would now be a thing. There is only one of these to our knowledge, though, and it's Flying Press, which is both fighting and flying. It's Hawlucha's signature move, nothing else has it, at least for the time being, and I know it's sort of intimidating to see that actually happen. This is something that there has been lots of speculation about for years, so I guess, once again, Game Freak sort of listened, even though, it may not have been the best idea the casuals who don't know their shit ever had, but still, I guess this is sort of an experiment to see how it goes. Hawlucha doesn't really seem like the best Pokemon in the world, and if it turns out to be good, it's probably not going to be because of Flying Press, because, there are a few reasons for that. Especially the fact that it's going to be able to benefit from an unburdened, boosted acrobatics. So, as a result, Flying Press may not see that much usage, especially considering that it also gets High Jump Kick. So, Flying Press is going to be pretty dang weak in comparison. So, I can't see being used much, and besides, who wants a fighting move that can't do shit against steel types, huh? Also, as a useless bit of trivia, this means that between Hawlucha and Togekiss's retcon to fairy flying, this means that the flying type is now the first type to have been matched with every other type in the game. So, just thought you'd like to know. I'm glad that there's finally a fighting flying type, especially since, in my opinion, they completely missed the boat with Staraptor. It should have been that instead of normal flying, but whatever. No use crying about something that happened 7 years ago.